systemic approach in an organization context is one that involves everyone and connects with multiple systems to ultimately influence change and generates the outcomes that organization favors.
A systemic approach has to include that bigger picture, but also a good understanding of what are the steps that are needed to put that system into place.
The message to staff is that we have a vision, we have a plan, and we're going to stick that.
For our staff, it provides them a level of assurance that the work is going to continue. For local districts, I think it provides them much of the same. They kind of know where we're coming from. They know the expectations up front. We're very deliberate on the readiness. And ultimately, for students, it provides them with the implementation of good practices.
Systematic approach is just as beneficial for our students as it is for our teachers. Knowing what to expect when they walk into the door, that helps minimize problem behavior that may be exhibited.
Probably doesn't make a lot of sense to someone outside of education. Like, why are you spending so much time on the systems and things? Why aren't you just doing it? Well, we've tried that and it didn't work.
It helps put everything in order. People may joke like being in leadership roles, you're a firefighter. And I'd rather be an engineer. I'd rather be proactive than reactive.
If you don't have structures and systems in place to do the work, I feel like you're just kind of throwing darts and not real sure about where you're aiming. And once you've got those in place, then you can really hone in on the smaller pieces of the work. But without systems in place, it's really hard to make change that's lasting and effective.
The ultimate result is our students with moderate to severe disabilities, they're learning real content, they're gaining knowledge, and they're gaining a depth of knowledge as well.
If I put it in the context, I'm also a farmer outside of my administrative responsibilities. When I plant a field of corn and I look for the emergence of the seed once I plant it, the first day of emergence is an important mark because the seeds that emerge the second day are going to have a predictable lesser yield than those that emerged on the first day. The seeds that emerge on the third day after the first has emerged, I basically treat as a weed. In an educational context, I can't treat people that emerge 3 days later than another as a weed. I have to still support that person. I have to find a way to align our systems of support so they're going to also grow. Their eventual yield has just as much potential.
The reason that evidence-based practices might possibly fail is the why, the sustainability, and implementing with fidelity.
Part of ensuring that success is making sure that we are constantly talking about it and constantly reviewing it. We need to be reflective from the leadership end and take accountability of, okay, how did this go wrong? And what are we going to do to fix it? Because we're not letting go of our system. We're going to continue forward.
Staff have to know that they're in it for the long run, because if you don't, there's going to be folks that are going to wait it out.
We look to muscle memory. We're pretty quick to say what's not possible versus what is possible. When we get into the throes of that work and we're confronting the challenges, some people want to stay in a place where they're safe, where they don't have to change. And if in our systems we give permission to that and we abandon the needs of the students.
We're so bad in education about making things our own because it feels right. These things are set up based on what has worked over years of evidence and research. We need to stick to the fidelity of the process.
It can be really uncomfortable to ask someone to change their instructional practice. So when we're asking teachers to do that, we're modeling for them. We're not just saying this is what needs to change, but we're shoulder to shoulder, making sure that teachers have confidence in what they're doing and they know the reason why. If we're not explaining the purpose of why we're changing something or why we're letting something go, then it's going to be a harder battle to fight.
We provide them content that they are trained in, and then they get the partnership with Wayne Reese and Alt+Shift that accompanies the coaching.
Our instructional staff looks up to us. You know, they look up to us for the guidance. And if we aren't aware of what Alt+Shift has to offer and be able to speak to it with fidelity, I'm not sure what the outcome will look like. And I think it's very important for an administrator to be there so that the teachers can see that you care. And so the teachers can see the support, where it's not just me telling them what to do. It's me actually being a part of it, working with them.
I have to believe in it, and I have to believe that we're going to make a difference in this student's life. And we're going to give them a skill or an ability or an experience that they're coming to school and that they're going to receive. They're not just coming here to be.
What makes it worth it to me is carrying on the legacy that my mom started. And when she started teaching students with severe disabilities, they were in a segregated environment. They weren't being taught how to read. They were being taught very basic functional skills. And what makes it worth it to me now is to see that how we can engage with students with complex needs, but in a very respectful way, with no end to the possibilities for their learning. And people coming together and supporting each other to actually help students achieve what many people see as impossible.